Let's try a thought experiment. When Steve Jobs was leading Apple, he managed to convince investors and consumers that they were not spending their money on some computer products. They were buying a vision of the future. It wasn't about what Apple was making, but why. And it allowed the company to dodge a lot of criticism towards their anti-competitive practices, terrible trade relations, and dystopian working conditions. Soon, the shtick of a visionary CEO spilled over to other big tech companies and became a signature of all new Silicon Valley startups.
Facebook is an idealistic and optimistic company.
Elon Musk entered the scene from this big tech environment. There is no doubt that his approach in leading Tesla is transforming the automotive industry. But it doesn't just come with the good. It also comes with all the problems the big tech is drowning the whole world in. Elon Musk took a look at the big tech companies and combine their worst and most selfish aspects to build a path towards the ultimate automobile monopoly. This is a point when our thought experiment becomes a prediction based on the current trends. Think about all the problems with social media platforms and apply them to Tesla. Like the ability of these platforms to monitor every single step of all of their users, decide what people get to see, and who gets to participate. Now imagine a world where Tesla becomes the Facebook on wheels, the dominant platform for all cars on the roads, not just electric vehicles. Car ownership plummets as it gets replaced with mobility as a service, and with that comes an incomprehensible privacy policy and ever-updating terms of service. Whether you're denied access or granted preferential treatment to board Tesla vehicles is based on your past activity on social media or in the real life. User rating or consumer score. Let's say people are organizing a protest against the practices of a government whom Tesla has intricate trade relations with. You've been reading about it on the news and expressed your support on social media. Because Tesla has been tracking your browser history and social media posts, they think you might want to attend the protest. So to decrease the numbers and manage their PR, Tesla decides to uphold their terms of service that bar the spread of misinformation or causing disruptions. Suddenly, you and perhaps many of your friends receive a temporary ban on your ability to use Tesla infrastructure for the duration of the planned protest. You see, Tesla already has this capability, and they might not be enforcing it today, but what if they are under pressure from troves of media articles blaming Tesla for giving traffic to extremists or violent groups? What if there is an equivalent of adpocalypse or social media crackdown on Tesla once it becomes truly dominant? What if one day Tesla is not managed by Elon Musk, but someone much more authoritarian? This is the Tesla dystopia, a world that is more efficient and with fewer CO2 emissions than ours, but one that is also more centralized and consolidated. Elon Musk may have a vision of a better future, but all the steps he's taking right now are building an empire that is structurally no different from the big tech monopolies. Today, self-driving tech is still being choked out of the roads by regulation. But that regulation will eventually give way to innovation. And the Facebook on wheels analogy is only a logical extension of what Tesla's ultimate position will be once it fulfills its fundamental plan. You see, ultimately, Tesla is not trying to sell you a self-driving car. No. Once all the technology and relevant regulation is ready, Tesla's main revenue will come from renting self-driving taxis. Tesla is already preparing their vehicles for semi-autonomous type of mobility as a service with their Model 3. The plan is to let people lease the car but not buy it at the end of the lease. You see, per mile, owning a car is still cheaper than renting, but that's only because of the requirement for human labor behind the steering wheel. With fully autonomous mobility as a service, the cost drops threefold. Once Tesla's vision is fully realized, owning a car will be reserved to a small minority class of people, and there is no other company closer to reaching that vision than Tesla. Plenty of mainstream car companies have entered the autonomous and electric vehicle sphere, but none of them has the Tesla advantage. In 2016, about the time when other companies were just starting out with autopilot, Tesla already collected more than 1.3 billion miles of data from all kinds of real-world scenarios, diverse roads, and global weather conditions, with regular people at the wheel. Their next competitor, Google's Waymo, only covered 2 million miles since 2009, all with employees on board. The rate at which Tesla gathers more data is also unparalleled. By 2020, Tesla's mileage with autopilot activated passed 3 billion. Waymo, on the other hand, only collected 20 million miles in autopilot. That's Tesla leading by more than a factor of 100. And their dominant position is not going to change anytime soon, since Tesla also has the most scalable deployment. Other companies still largely rely on human supervision when gathering autopilot data, which means they have to pay engineer wages, and that often means that to get more miles they have to lose money. Meanwhile, Tesla earns 20% gross income from every car they sell, with customers acting as beta testers on their behalf. Eventually, other car companies will start catching up, but Tesla will still keep its dominance thanks to something called vertical market integration. This is where companies operating in a single market expand their operation into other markets that are built on top or below their current position in the supply chain. Electric cars need charging stations, and Tesla has more of them than anyone else. Charging stations need electricity, but no other car company has its own equivalent of Tesla's Solar City. This is where Musk's Tesla strategy resembles more Jeff Bezos' Amazon than the strategies of Google or Microsoft. Amazon became such a dominant monopoly in everything they touched because they didn't just focus on online retail, they also built their entire logistics infrastructure from scratch. Likewise, Amazon isn't just a marketplace for third-party sellers. Now they're also selling their own Amazon-branded products. But look at what happened to all the other companies Amazon competed with. First, online retail was completely obliterated because everyone else had to rely on third-party delivery companies except for Amazon. But then, even the old delivery and logistics behemoths, UPS and FedEx, eventually lost their position to Amazon because neither UPS nor FedEx had their own online marketplace. And today, if you are not selling on Amazon, you're almost guaranteed to fail. Tesla is competing with other car companies, but Tesla is not just a car company. It's also an energy company, and a charging company, and a software company, but most importantly, a data company. Tesla's data collection goes far beyond miles. It's about tracking everything that happens inside the car, outside the car, and its drivers' and passengers' behaviors. During a 2017 update, Tesla's went from uploading a few megabytes of data a day to several hundreds at a time. When it comes to data collection, Tesla is acting more like a data broker than a car company. On top of collecting your driving and usage data, Tesla scans public databases, marketing partners, and third-party services for information about you. Teslas are operating with always-on recording and wireless connection. Telematic data logged by the company include everything about how you drive and use your Tesla, but also short video clips from many of the car cameras, camera images from inside and outside a car, location records, charging information, and autopilot use. Majority of this data is tied to unique vehicle ID number. You may opt out of some data sharing, but the process requires you to manually contact Tesla support, and you will no longer receive software or firmware updates. This is where Tesla is really pushing the limits. Not even mobile companies like Google or Apple go this far. If you opt out of advertising or data collection, you will still receive updates for your phone until its support period officially expires. This is a critical issue. Tesla is essentially forcing you to make a trade-off between privacy and security when they could just as easily go hand in hand. For as long as you are a Tesla customer, the company will be able to remotely access your car and take control of its settings. This dynamic access is both a security and a privacy nightmare, as Tesla employees will be able to access your contacts, navigation history, current location, and browsing history. This is a rootkit level of infiltration. It was popularized by iPhone and Android, since both of them are capable of remotely installing updates on your phone without you consenting or even noticing. But both Google and Apple are moving away from transferring data to the cloud and rather keep it on the device to perform computations for machine learning. One way to go about AI development today is with federated learning. It keeps all the training data on user devices, and only updates to the learning model are sent to the cloud. These updates are additionally encrypted and grouped together with hundreds of thousands of other individual updates before decrypting the average for computation. While not a privacy utopia, it does make it so that no individual's update can be inspected before averaging. Tesla wants a hands-on approach on every individual car. All the training data is sent to central servers, where the learning model performs computations, and over-the-air updates are sent back to the fleet of Teslas on the roads. The volume of data collected by Tesla gives it an insane value now and in the long term, and it's unlikely Tesla will change anything about their data-driven strategy. The justification for such a privacy invasion isn't just machine learning, even though methods like federated learning that make it more private than Tesla is willing to do already exist. The big data from Tesla will be a lucrative target for insurance companies, consumer ranking, advertising, and other new data-driven markets. Usage-based insurance has already introduced driving scores that rank drivers' behavior based on several factors, some of which have nothing to do with you being a good or a bad driver. Such a massive trove of precise consumer data will necessarily lead to enriching car experience with advertisements. If the Facebook on wheels analogy follows, with so much more data and time spent in the cars, introduction of ads is an inevitable evolution. None of these issues would worry me as much as they do if it weren't for Tesla's approach to hackers. Not the ones that want to breach Tesla's security, but those that believe they should be free to do whatever they want with their own car for as long as they're following the traffic rules and aren't hurting anybody. But that's in direct conflict with Tesla's revenue model. It's not enough that you pay premiums for a branded car capable of a lot of cool features. If you want to access those features, you better pay up. Being specific, Tesla offers an over-the-air update to unlock acceleration boost feature for $2,000. It'll shorten your 0 to 60 acceleration to 3.9 seconds and give you a slightly higher top speed. But if it can be unlocked with a software update, that means the car is already capable of that, so why pay so much for something that costs almost nothing? That's what one company decided to capitalize on and offer the same upgrade with even better acceleration for half the price and with some additional features on top. This is a level of centralized control that completely disregards the whole concept of end-user property rights. There could be a whole market of third-party businesses built on top of Tesla's platform, emulating the openness of Android or Linux ecosystems. But such openness would take away from Tesla's ambition to become a monopoly. Despite receiving praise for open sourcing some of their patents, Tesla has been failing to honor free software Linux licenses it was beholden to for using Linux code in their cars. The GNU public license dictates that software developers release their source code built on top of open source software. It took 6 years fighting with the Software Freedom Conservancy to finally release portions of Tesla's source code and stop violating the terms of GPL at least partially. But even then, it was still impossible for people to build their own Tesla binaries with some Linux code missing and incomplete build instructions. Tesla is making a choice here. It could go the Android route, allowing for an open and decentralized ecosystem of operating systems and software to exist on the automobile platform. Or it could go the iPhone route, with prohibitive rules for both developers and users on what is and isn't allowed to happen on their platform. What we need is to be allowed to hack our own cars. We should be allowed to have multiple versions of the operating system with the different capabilities and security and privacy features while still being able to fetch software and firmware updates. If that was the case, we could have something like Graphene OS for cars, which would be the most private and secure operating system with no ads, trackers, or remote access that users cannot disable. There is a reason Edward Snowden recommends an operating system built on top of Android and not an iPhone. And it's for that reason I'm worried Tesla will much rather follow the iPhone monopoly model where no custom ROMs exist and only Apple-approved software is allowed.